Hey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how to give your dolls coily afro hair. Today's model is G1 Clawdeen, since Mattel to this day has never given her textured hair, which is super embarrassing in my opinion, especially since Monster High is all about diversity, but whatever. This technique does not require a reroot, unlike this other Clawdeen doll that I restyled to have an afro. I do like her, but unfortunately I did have to sacrifice an LOL OMG doll, which I did not appreciate because I love them. But yeah, let's just get started. First, I gave her a high ponytail because I did not want to hide her cute ears. Of course, this is optional, and I will in fact show you some other styling options later on in this video, so don't be scared. So this is what that looked like. Then I dunked her head in some water, just so her hair would be easier to work on later on when I have to do like parting and stuff. Also, you gotta make sure that her hair is brushed before moving on to the next step, because working as cleanly as possible definitely pays off with this technique. Now we will need some pipe cleaners to use as curlers. These are perfect when creating coils because the wires are very thin. So you will need to cut the pipe cleaners, and I like to use them in a V shape so I can use 2 strands for 1 pipe cleaner. And now you can simply create coils by wrapping the hair around it. And once you're done with the strand, you can just bend the pipe cleaner to hold everything in place. And again, make sure that every strand is brushed out nicely so you won't complicate things later on. I also like giving the strands a little twist before wrapping it around. This also is completely optional, but I just prefer it that way. Also, you gotta make sure to tuck the ends in properly just so they won't be completely straight. Also, make sure not to hurt your fingers with the wire because it is sharp. And once you're done with the strand, make sure to twist it even more in order to tighten the coil. And this is what it should look like in the end. After repeating those steps for hours, you should end up with something like this. Initially, I only wanted to do this Clawdeen, but I got a huge amount of comments on my other socials claiming that she's not black and that it doesn't make sense for her to have coily hair, so I made a couple more to spite those people. So before continuing with Clawdeen, I wanted to show you what it looks like on Claudia, because I didn't give her an updo so you can see what the process looks like without a ponytail. Essentially, these are the exact same steps, but I still wanted to include it here in case some of you were wondering, and later on in this video I will show you a multitude of results that you can achieve by using this method. So this is what it ended up looking like on Claudia. It took forever, but just you wait for those results. But now back to Clawdeen. Now we will need to make sure that the doll's hair texture actually changes, so we will need some boiling water. So I gently dunked her hair into the boiling water. I let her soak for a few minutes, and the heat will end up setting everything in place. Now it is time for her to dry again, so I use a towel at first, but she will need to dry overnight. A day has passed, so now it's finally time to move on to removing those pipe cleaners. I'm not even gonna lie, this does take forever. I would think it takes equally as long as getting them in the first place, and that is a couple hours for sure. That is why it's very important to work as cleanly as possible in the beginning, so you won't have to deal with flyaways getting stuck and taking longer to remove. As you can see, that already looks very promising. However, we will need to cut the ends a little bit, since the tips unfortunately do tend to stick out a little bit, so these won't be coily, and I think it's better to just cut them off. I recommend doing this before removing the pipe cleaners, but you can do it as you please, and you don't even have to cut them off at all. Hours later, we can finally see what it looks like once the pipe cleaners have been removed. I think this texture already has a lot of potential and you can create amazing looks with it. Now, I did not create 100% equally large sections, so if you plan on doing it with this texture, make sure the sections are the same size. But since I was planning on giving her an afro, that doesn't really matter and we still have a few steps to go. Here's another example of Claudia, what she looked like after this step, because I think it's important to also show it without a high ponytail, and I think this would look incredibly cute in pigtails. In order to create more volume, we will need to separate those sections. Now for each section I probably parted them about 5 or 6 times, but you can also do less. If you do less you will get a cute coily look, but I wanted to go full afro. Now this was before I realized that you shouldn't be parting the sections dry, so yeah, what can I say? I am a white bitch after all, so I don't have any experience from doing this with my own hair. However, I still managed to save some messed up coils by twisting them with my fingers. And here you can see on Claudia how effortless this works when the hair is damp. However, I do think the weight of the water loosens the coils a little bit, so yeah, it's kind of like pick your struggle. Now I was almost done doing this, but I still wanted to show you a little comparison of the two textures side to side so you can see what difference it does make. And this is what it looked like all separated. Now all that is left to do is shaping it, and you can do this by cutting. However, I decided to go a different route. Since I put her hair in a high ponytail, there were some shorter and longer layers, and I truly did not want to lose any of her volume, which is why I came to the conclusion that I was not gonna cut any of her hair off. I did, however, add a ton of hairspray, and I know a lot of people don't like it when their doll's hair is full of product. However, with this look, I definitely think it is necessary, because at the end of the day, we did change the doll's hair structure and time will undo it. I remember curling my doll's hair when I was like 12, and after a year had passed, these curls were close to being fully gone, and hairspray definitely helps with maintaining the look over time. At first, I tried drying the doll's hair while holding it with my hands, but in the end I realized the best option to do this is by using a hairnet. Now I did not have a real hairnet, so I used just what my onions from the supermarket came wrapped in. So yeah, if you're missing some ingredients, you will just have to get creative, right? In the end, this did work out perfectly. I was super happy. Be gentle when removing it though, because the hairnet will stick to the hair due to all of the hairspray. But yeah, this is how the first hairstyle turned out, and I think it looks amazing. Before moving on, I still had to pick out an outfit for Clawdeen, so I went through all of my Monster High accessories to find the perfect one. Now deep down I already knew I was going to put her in the Schools Out outfit because it is amazing, and her belt just so happens to be a very nice color match for Clawdeen's eyeshadow. It's not a one-to-one match, so it's not perfect, but neither is her outfit, so I just decided to still go for it. Unfortunately, I did not have her Schools Out shoes, but I do have the same shoe sculpt from the music festival line. They still were a bit plain for me, so I decided to paint in all of the zipper details, and I just love the difference. They look so much better. Now I have to do the most, so I decided to give her the brand new House of Wolf hand sculpt because I just love those nails. Now their peg is way bigger than OG Monster High dolls, so these wouldn't fit them, so I had to sand it down a little bit, which was kind of stressful because I've never done this before, but in the end it worked out very nicely, and I was super happy that I did not buy these hands for nothing. So yeah, then I painted her nails in the same accent color as her belt, eyeshadow and straps. And yes, I also paint the back of the nails. I've gotten comments claiming that this was weird, but to me it just looks correct. And this is the final look of Miss Clawdeen Wolf. I think she is amazing. She's probably one of my favorite Clawdeen dolls that I own because she's so special to me. Because her outfit actually belongs to my very first Clawdeen doll, who now is in the trash, but you know, I kept the outfit. And of course, I just love her hair. It's so special because, you know, Miss Mattel never did it, so yeah. Only straight hair fiber G1 Clawdeen for us, I guess. Anyway, this is how Claudia's hair has turned out, and it is incredible, if I may say so myself. To me, it just looks way better than before, kind of like she was intended to look like this in the first place. Then there's also this Howleen that I did. I gave her these cute afro puffs and I think she turned out amazing as well. This doll does have Kanekalon hair, so this works on Kanekalon as well. And lastly, I made this Clawdeen wearing her infamous green uniform fashion pack. If you don't know about it, this fashion pack was initially meant to come with a doll, and she was the only Clawdeen doll to actually have an afro. They created a prototype of her, but the actual doll never got to see the light of day. Some of the others did come with dolls, but Clawdeen didn't. I wonder why. For her, I used Sweet 1600 Clawdeen, who does have tinsel, so yeah, this also works on tinsel. And here we have all of them together, so as you can see, with this technique you can create a wide variety of looks. The possibilities truly are endless. I think it is extremely f***ed up that no G1 Clawdeen doll has textured hair, especially since Monster High turns 16 this year, so hopefully that changes soon. I started this series way back in September of last year and I had intended on posting this video way earlier, but life had other plans for me, so now I'm posting it during Black History Month. This is completely unintentional, but I still want to say Happy Black History Month to everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this tutorial was helpful. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments. Like, comment and subscribe. I have a lot of nice content coming your way and your support truly means everything. So please like, comment and subscribe. Press every single button, please. Also make sure to check out my other socials, everything is linked in my video description. I've been making content for over a year there, so there's a lot to check out. For example, I've made videos of me styling the hair of every single doll that you can see right here. Any support is highly appreciated. Thanks for watching, bye bye!